Nigel, hello, say hello to the camera.
Hi, camera. As unknown in Sweden as she is in London, but I mean her job is to forge a common foreign policy. Her job is to forge a European army and a European navy and a European air force, which, when you think about it, is a bit rich, isn't it? For somebody who was for 3 years the treasurer of the campaign for nuclear disarmament. But there you are, that's what the political class do. They're very good at reinventing themselves. We also, of course, now have a president, don't we? The president of Europe, chap down the side, and effectively then overtaking our economy anyway. So I would argue to you, as young Conservatives, and I would argue to you, I hope and trust that you are all Democrats and that you believe, and you actually believe in the democratic process. I would argue to all of you that you're all wasting your time, completely wasting your time, if we stay part of this European Union. You know, what we've got here and what we'll have post-Lisbon is centralised, undemocratic control. Yes, there's a ruddy great building here with 6,000 people in it, but all that can do is amend legislation, delay legislation. The sole right of initiative rests with the unelected European Commission, and to me, I think we are recreating in Western Europe the very thing that, thank goodness, fell to pieces in Eastern Europe just over 20 years ago. And it won't work. You can't create a new state. You can't give people a new identity unless you first seek the consent of the peoples. And I would argue that that consent has never been sought. You know, I mean, when the French say no to the Constitution, they're just ignored, aren't they? The Dutch say no, they're just ignored. The poor little Irish say no, and they're bullied and put on the ground and kicked in the ribs until they vote yes. We weren't even allowed a say on that constitutional treaty, nor were you. I'm pretty confident that if 27 member states had all had a referendum on it, well over half the member states' peoples would have said no. And the great danger, and why this matters so very much, is that whether we like it or not, mankind is tribal. Mankind wants to belong to something, wants to identify with something. And just nearly 100 years ago, the same catastrophic mistake was made. And it was made at the Treaty of Paris in 1920, sort of post-Versailles, where the great statesmen of the world looked at the causes of the First World War. And they decided that because there were so many different Balkan countries, and they were busy going around killing each other's archdukes and generally causing trouble, that there was a way to guarantee peace in the Balkans for all time. Very simple. You got rid of all the different nations, and you put them all together in one. And you gave them one flag, and one anthem, and one army, and one police force, and one currency, and one government, and you called it Yugoslavia. And by doing that, you would guarantee that there would be war again in the Balkans. Just like normal households. They want to get on with the people who live either side of them. But what you don't do is give away the ability to make the decisions that affect the future of your people to somebody else, and especially not to an unelected set of institutions. So I want Britain out of this mess. I want us to do what the Swiss do, renegotiate a free trade agreement. I very much hope that once we've done it, and I believe we will, that sensible countries like you will follow. And then let's start again. Let's have a blank sheet of paper. Let's perhaps go back to the 1948 idea. I'm very happy that we have a Council of Europe. I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it, for us to sit down and talk about problems like North Sea pollution. It makes sense for us to talk about things like fish stocks, which often cross national boundaries. But let's do it as democratic governments in sovereign states cooperating together, not through this monstrosity here. And I've been here now since 1999, when I was first elected. There wasn't a grey hair on my head in those days. I've got one or two now. And I've done my very best to fight hard against these people, because I won't accept, under any circumstances, this European state until somebody actually gives me the opportunity in a free and fair referendum to express my view. Now, thank you for listening to that. I didn't really mean, well, I did mean to be insulting slightly, because brilliant. Well, thank you very much, and I will love it, because of course I love Europe. Perfect. I love Europe. I mean, I'm married to a German, I've worked for French banks, and I've drunk more Rioja than any man alive in Britain today. I love Europe. And it's the diversity of Europe, and the differences of Europe, the culture, the language, the music, the food. That's what makes this a fantastic continent. Don't let these bloody people turn us all into one. Thank you.